Hey, folks. I wanted to talk to you guys on my big computer video camera, but I couldn't. But you already know who it is. It's your girl, Lily Mae. And so, as always, if this is your first time, rocking out with me on the live, give me a number one, right? If it's your second time, give me the deuces. And if you're always here, if you're always coming forth, please, by all means, wave. All right. So, first and foremost, you can always check out different things going on with me if you go to my page, Lily Mae the brand Sinaj. That's how you can find out what's going on with me. But tonight, I only want to give you 10 minutes. I literally only want to give you 10 minutes, right? So let's get moving. So you see the title of the live is Where's Your Anchor? And so this live is going to be about self-care, personal responsibility, and boundaries. And so for me, self-care means something a little bit different because, as you remember last week, I talked about when your professional development is contingent upon your personal development. And so I think that it's important for you to understand what that means. So let me jump right into talking about what the anchor is, all right? So you know that a ship, when it docks, the anchor is dropped, right? Because that anchor holds that ship into position. When the anchor is released, what happens? The ship starts to sail. Now, of course, the ship has a motor. Of course, the ship has a captain. But that captain cannot steer, control, or accelerate that ship if the anchor is down. So, where's your anchor? All right. Now, last week, I talked about three things. I talked about assessing your personal bias, judgments, and thoughts which affect your ability to set and maintain boundaries. I talked about reflecting upon relationships in which you had boundaries or not, and kind of, figuring out what the outcome of those relationships were. And then the other thing I spoke about was clear communication and how important that is when you are defining and setting boundaries, right? So this week, in talking about self-care, I want to talk about self-care in the form of a Venn diagram. So everybody, we're all adults, so you should remember Venn diagrams from school, right? So let's think about what a Venn diagram is. So a Venn diagram is what? A lot of interconnected circles. When I was mentioning the Venn diagram to a couple of friends, they said, oh, that's the 3 circles. And I was like, kinda. It can be multiple circles. So the best way for me to teach you how you begin to assess whether you're in a healthy place with your self-care or not is you have to look at your Venn diagram. All right. So what you want to do is you want to first draw a circle for everyone or everything that you feel responsible for or obligated to. In this circle, with the circles, each circle will be representative of one of those people or things. What you have to make sure that you don't include your parents, your children, or a spouse in the interconnected circles. So my Venn diagram look like this. Now you notice all of the circles are touching, right? So generally, you find a place in the circle where there is a commonality. You find a place where all of the circles are intersecting, and that's where you place yourself. Well, guess what? If you're looking at my Venn diagram, I am nowhere in that Venn diagram. Why? Because I don't fit. All of the circles aren't even touching in one place. There's no room for me. So, if you can't find a place, there's no room for you. However, when you start to think about the development and implementation of self-care, you start off by drawing a self circle. A self circle. All right? And your self circle should be big because you are big. You are big. You are brilliant. So your self circle should be big. The second thing that you do, step 2, is you draw circles for all the things that are essential to your activities for daily living, right? So, remember, step 1, draw your self circle. Your me should be the largest. So, look at my me. What's essential for my activity of daily living? My vehicle, my rent and groceries, my work, and doctors, right? Because that's going to keep me what? I need to be healthy. I need to be able to get to and from work. I need to have shelter, and I need to have food. Y'all know I like food. Okay. Now, once you've created that Venn diagram, now let's go back. When you're not practicing self-care, there's no room for you. But when you put yourself first and practice self-care, everything is touching you versus there being no room for you. And the only things that are included in your Venn diagram are the things that are essential for your daily living. So what does all of this mean? It means simply this. Generally, when you were in math class, if you guys remember when you were in, early math or geometry, the Venn diagram was a box, right? And the Venn diagram sat inside of a box. So my charge to you is make yourself the box. You don't even need to be the Venn diagram. But if you feel like you need to be the Venn diagram, start with self. Self goes at the core, and everything else that's essential to your daily living and your thriving and your growth goes around the circles. Don't ever get to the point where your Venn diagram is so full that you don't have room for yourself and yourself has nowhere to go. Because at that point, you are going to suffer from what's called burnout and compassion fatigue. And you are not going to want to get up in the morning. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be exhausted. And so what that means, it takes us back to what I discussed with you last week. You need to have appropriate boundaries. You need to define clear boundaries. And in order to define clear boundaries, you have to have clear, adequate communication. Clear, adequate communication. And communication, understand, a conversation does not yield confirmation, but a discussion, which is a dialogue, yields questions and answers. Once again, where's your anchor? Practice self-care. Draw your Venn diagram, but focus on being the box. And as always, I ask you to check out the Road Less Traveled Body Confidence Tour, where we emphasize and we exude the importance of physical and mental wellness as the key components of comprehensive body confidence. I'm your girl, Lily Mae, the brand, and good night.